All right, I did my marine weld, JB weld tests with that. It holds, but definitely can be separated. Maybe I need to prep it a little better. I've also used this stuff, which holds, this says for aluminum, so I thought this might hold better. Very close to the same. What I actually find is CA glue, mix it with a little baking powder, and then that actually works just as good and cures a lot quicker, so I'm going to use that. Alright, I bent a little strip just to contour that. I want to go out, like I say, about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch. Alright, I don't know if it's worth all the effort, but kind of fills that little gap in there. A little bit of filler to make it smooth, and you can't see the hoses through that or through the other side. I used that JB Weld Marine to fill that little area in, and it'll all be covered with alcantara anyway. Now I'm thinking of actually making the center section black, so it just carries that through there, like a plastic cover on that, and I'm going to figure out how to integrate that. Manual wants you to put 4 number 8 truss head screws. I believe 1 here, and then a bunch of tenement clips, so trying to see what I need to do to get that stiff and solidified. Get this in. I ended up doing 3 just because the spacing is kind of closer to the other screws that I have. I also put the nut plates on here so that bolts in. So this is, you can see, really solid. The side will be supported by the side pieces. This has no support in it, so it's got a little bit of a flex to it. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. A little frustrated because no matter what I do, like this side fits good, you saw from the other side, but this one's just, the bends of this piece and that piece are off, and also the cage weld, where the seat goes across from the seats, like where it welds onto here, is off quite a bit. It's kind of magnified on the passenger side, so the driver's side's dead on, the passenger side's kind of giving me some ulcers, but we'll figure it out. Good night. I'm almost embarrassed to document this because it's taking me forever for something nobody will ever see. So I made these braces. They're similar to like this brace, which was nice and solid, and I put it under there. Except I still had a flex here when you like push on it, and trying to figure out how to mate all this and have it look good. Now these worked, so that gave me the dimensions, and then I ended up making a big U-shaped brace that goes under there, that goes all the way up to that tang, that the tab that's welded onto the cage. I'll take it all apart and show you. All right, all apart again, but yeah, so basically it reinforces this, and I'm gonna cut the rest of this away, but it catches this tang right here. So I'm gonna basically put a screw that holds all of that in the middle together. All right, here's the finished bracket. I got the nut plates in it. I got the top all scuffed up because I'm going to glue that onto that. And then I had the great idea of gluing this onto here and putting plastic over the top of this. So like I said, the whole center consoles continue to be plastic, and then this will all mold into one continuous piece. I think it'll look good. All right, JB Weld, let it dry. Tomorrow we'll fuse that piece onto there. See where that takes us. Good night. All right, let that all dry overnight. Gluing this on here right now. Put the screw in the middle and just, oops, almost pulled the plane off the tail wheel support there. Anyway, it's rock solid, so really happy with that. These things are really solid. Now I'm going to work on the side supports to get that solidified. So one, I don't call it a problem, but one thing I foresee is there's just no way this is secured in there. It's hooked in here with this little piece that gets riveted to it. And I had a thought of putting a P-clamp onto that cage tube and putting a riv nut into it, or thread set, and then screwing, you know, one screw into that. But I did that back here. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, see? So that actually worked good back there. But since I didn't leave provisions for that, it kind of pulled the whole thing up again, which I didn't like. Now I'm thinking of something similar to here, where I just rivet a very thin strip of metal onto the bottom and then put a couple of screws to hold it in. And when I'm playing with angles on the floor, I also located where this is going. That's going to get riveted into. One thing worth noting on this cover that goes on here is this is 3 inches on top. So these, with the tenement clips and the space, technically should be just shy of 3 inches. The problem I had is at 3 inches it actually rubs up against this arm. So I actually made this part on the bottom 3 1/16, which basically, with the tenement clip and the thickness of that metal and the alcantara wrapped around, it'll probably be like 3 1/8, almost 3 1/8 on the bottom. All right, back onto the side panels. So I made this piece out of thin aluminum, and I think that'll work great. It's basically gonna, you know, 2 or 3 screws in there. Now, again, the problem that I had, RANS gives you this bend 1/2 of an inch up. I had done all of my lining up where this, and this hooks onto that with 3/4 inch. So first I was like, okay, that'll fit on there. Anyway, long story short, I took that bend out of the RANS and I rebent it 3/4 of an inch up. So now this can sit all the way on the bottom of the floor, lock in, be tight up here, match up with the front pieces that I've been battling with. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So basically I'm going to bend that straight in my little trusty Harbor Freight brake and then rebend it at 3/4 of an inch. Alright, so I got both of these rebent at 3/4, and they can be 1/2 inch. Basically that's just where I had it set up. And I put 3 little flush rivets, no, 4 flush rivets in there, and then JB welded them together. I kind of want this to be one piece, and I didn't want to see the rivets through the bumps from the pull rivets to the alcantara, so trying to make it look like one piece. Good night. I found a little ladybug in here. Does that mean good luck? Where you going there? Alright, I'll take it. And then they were a 1. There you can see my rivets, and feathered it in. I might do a little Bondo on it, or actually it's probably good enough. And then you figure out that you didn't quite have the angle that you like, so you start over. Take 2 with a new angle. Hopefully this will fit a little better. So while those guys are drying, I am now working on, I know this looks horrible, doesn't it? This piece, and the idea is basically I just bent in the vise with a heat gun a little piece of it's actually less than 1/16 plastic, and I'm going to overlay that on here. If you remember me saying, I'm actually decided to make the center console black, satin black plastic. So no alcantara here, because changing my mind is what I do. This is going to glue on top of that. The side panels will be alcantara sitting up to this, and now I gotta make this to here and cut these out and make it all look good. So I'm sure that will take me long enough for that to dry. So since the plastic is much tighter resolution, if you may, than if I were to wrap it in alcantara, which hides a lot of stuff, these have to be perfect. So I made a little template that's exact cutout for the switches, and now I'm gonna router it on my little makeshift table router. All right, that's the mount on one side, and that came out beautiful. Now it's time to trim this off to make it fit the rest of it. All right, did some trimming. This is the kind of the cutout that goes around the center console. I left these strips on here. Not convinced I'm going to use them, but they kind of finish it off nice. And yeah, a little more work. All right, so that's the finished cover piece. Very thin, very lightweight. That's going to go on top of here. These are obviously very flimsy. If I do decide to keep them, I made a little brace I can glue on the bottom. Now I'm going to glue that together. All right, so this stuff takes overnight to set up, and that's okay because I'm ready to go to bed. So tomorrow will be like Christmas. A whole bunch of dried glue, and hopefully I don't have to redo it like those stupid things. Good night. All right, so that all dried nicely. I forgot to film this morning, but I'm in the process of blending this in to this. I did end up putting this brace on the bottom with my lightning holes. You like that? And that just kind of straddles the side of the center console up to the point where this part ends and the rails start, so I think it's just a nice finishing touch. And since I have this raised so the side panel is flush onto it, I was thinking overnight, oh, I should probably raise this too so it doesn't overlap, the side panel doesn't overlap here and sit flush there. So yep, I wasted another, well, whatever, spent a few hours doing that, so working out that. This little lip is kind of interesting. Will lock, there we go. Well, once it's bolted in. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, so you got to get this screw in, a little tension on it, and then that keeps this from shaking left and right. So before, there's a lot of, or not a lot, but more lateral movement. Now it's not. Oh my God, I came very close to having tears in my eyes after fighting with this thing for, I don't know, a long time. It really is starting to fit nicely now. So these are the little extensions there that just kind of tie that in, and this looks good. Not done yet, obviously. This is the little thing that keeps it locked in. Obviously this will be wrapped in in alcantara, which is underneath. These things are starting to fit, which I'm real happy about. Right now there's no bolts. I do feel that this on both sides, see how it's pulling it in there, is kind of tight. I'm still gonna, nope, that's the other side. I'm still gonna put these guys on, but see how that's kind of tight. So I'm actually gonna cut maybe like 3/16 and feather it up to here. We'll see how it fits. Thank goodness for my OCD, it's the same on both sides. So yeah, I'm gonna pop these out, trim that, and see if we get a better fit with less tension. But overall, man, oh man, a lot of work, but it's getting there. All right, so I started by just taking 1/8 of an inch off the bottom, and the top is still the same because I like the way this fits. I might put a little filler plate on here. I think that's going to be enough. And I think I explained this before, but the idea behind this guy is I don't have any way to mount this. So this is basically gonna, that piece gonna rivet onto here, and then you screw it into the floor just like that, and that'll keep this down, and no visible screws because that's going to be under the carpet. as usual, these videos are getting long, and I'll probably end this one here, and hopefully the third one will finish it. So, see ya.